Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal Team Talk. I'm your host, Dan Potts, and I'm delighted to welcome back my good friend and brother, Manny. Manny, you're back, man. How are you, bro?
I'm doing good, man. It's really good to be back on here, man. I know I've been missing for a couple of months, things we will not discuss, but I'm just glad to be back on here and glad to be talking about, one of my favorite topics, Arsenal Football Club, man. So thank you for having me on again, Pods.
Man, thank you for coming back on. I'm glad you're all good, man. We won't go into what's been happening over the last few weeks. I think everyone's had a rough year and everyone's had a bit of a rough start to the year, to be honest. So it's good to have you back safe and well, bro. It's a pleasure. Also, it's a pleasure to have my mate Trev Hill back on. Trev, how you doing, bro?
I'm very good. Thank you, Dan. Very good indeed. I love doing these preview shows when you invite me on here, mate. So thank you very much. And I'm even more happy tonight because I'm on with my good friend Manny, who I think the world of. So I'm looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it.
I wanted to get you two on. And Manny just said straight away, I'll come on if Trev's coming on. So there's a little bit of bromance going on. Good man. Boys, there's a lot to talk about. We did a transfer special on Wednesday, which was well received. And thank you, Trev, and everybody else that managed to come on. Over 23 guests throughout the evening. Absolutely superb. Great to get the Arsenal family together and talk about something that wasn't kind of negative as such, to try and lift the morale. Because it's been tough, boys. It's been a tough time. It's been a tough season for Arsenal, but it was really good on Wednesday. So we spoke a little bit about some transfers, but I'm going to start off kind of where we left off, because one thing we didn't really get to talk about, and Manny, I'll come to you, is the outgoings. We've heard about Martin Odegaard. We've heard about Matt Ryan. We're looking at potential left backs. We're looking at trying to increase the squad, but their outgoings, Manny, have been positive, bruv. What have you made of this transfer window that Mikel Arteta and Edu are kind of working with so far, mate?
I'll say this, Potts. If we manage to terminate Mustafi's contract, it's been a 10 out of 10 transfer window, outgoings and incomings. This is the transfer window that I've wanted from Arsenal Football Club, taking things seriously, terminating the contract of terrible players, loaning out some of our talents that need to get minutes underneath their belts. We're hearing that maybe Willock will go out on loan and Maitland-Niles and Reece Nelson, but mainly it's the trash from the what's it called again? What's that thing called? From the bowels of the football club, the Kolasinaks, the Socrates, the Buggers. I won't call him by name because I'm done saying his name. And hopefully Mustafi to exit the door. But this is the transfer window I wanted to see, right? I wanted Arsenal Football Club to take themselves seriously and start acting like a big club, removing the garbage and moving forward and start addressing some of the problem areas. I have no issues with this transfer window at the moment. If we complete the termination of Mustafi's contract, I might walk around London naked, mate. I'm telling you.
Oh.
Do we want to see that? Manny,
there's some people that want to see it, mate.
I'm sure. Do you know what? I'm sure there are many in the chat that probably do as well, bruv. Listen, Manny, I'm going to stay with you because me and you have spoke quite clearly on these shows in the summer, saying that it was a failure in terms of outgoing. So the one thing I wanted to see with these players gone, and I was frustrated that we didn't see that many go. Now, I understand the summer of 2021 is the proper clear out, but isn't it refreshing to see a manager, and a board member get together and have a plan moving forward? I'm not happy with what I'm seeing on the pitch, and we'll come into that in a bit, but transfer-wise, I get it. I understand where we're going. I understand who should be in this side. I believe who should be in this side staying long term. I understand that I'm not happy with some of the first 11. And I understand that, potentially in the summer, we may say goodbye to the Xhakas, Lacazettes, Bellerins, potentially. But the ones that have to go, the Deadwood, looks like they're going. So I just want to say a last couple of words for you, Manny, about the Mesut Ozils, the Kolasinaks, the Mustafis, because people that believe they're good fans and great fans wish them good luck and all the luck in the world. Where do you stand on this? Because I know you are passionate about the hatred that you've had to some of these individuals. Is it just like good riddance or is it good luck?
Garbage. I don't have any love for them. I don't have any time for them. Their wages have been holding us back. I mean, look how much money we've managed to get out the door in terms of wages. But just look at it. All of these men, apart from maybe Socrates, were on 90K a week plus, right? I have no love for them. I have no time for them. They had no business coming through the doors at our football club. The men who signed them should hang their heads in shame. I have no love and no time for them. But I've wanted to see the back of them for years. And I'm seeing that right now. I'm at my happiest in terms of outgoings. This is what I wanted to see in the summer. Right. The only thing that would really make me happier than how I'm feeling right now is if we got a bit of coin for some of them. But that's the position that we put ourselves in. We sign these players, we put them on ridiculous contracts. So at the end of the day, we had to take the loss somewhere. And if we had to take a loss in transfer fees, so be it. They are gone. Some of them. I'm waiting for Mustafi to leave. We will never see them in an Arsenal shirt again. I couldn't be happier. I have no love for them. I have no time for them. Fuck them. Fuck them.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Trev, how about you? What's your situation with the outgoings in this transfer window? Because as far as I'm concerned, man, it has been good news. Yes, we've got 2 players in. That's great. And they're 2 positions that we needed in Matt Ryan and Erdegaard, in a creative midfielder and a backup goalkeeper who's better than Runnison. Outgoings, though, I've been quite impressed, Trev. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've got to agree with Manny. I put it slightly different to Manny, as we know. Me and my good friend Manny, we agree quite a bit in different ways. But you can't fault it. I know you boys are like, you're not quite sure about Arteta yet, but the process that we wanted as fans is still continuing, and that pleases me greatly. The players that weren't performing or that were dragging the club down to levels that we weren't happy with are being moved out. I'm not quite sure if Mustafi will go. If he does go, I'll be like, oh, the moon. But the process is moving forward. The people we're bringing in, I didn't expect more than 2 people to come in, to be honest. He had to make the squad smaller, and he's made the squad smaller. He brought in a quality player from what I've seen, and he's brought in what we all knew we needed, another goalkeeper to be a good backup for Leno. And Ryan's a quality keeper from what I've seen. Whenever we sign a player, particularly from another English club or a British club, I'll go and look at their Twitter, Dan. I'll go and look at other club's Twitter. And as soon as we signed Ryan, I went and looked at Brighton's Twitter feed, and the fans weren't happy that he'd gone. The fans were down about him going. So, yeah, if they're down, then we must have a decent player. So I'm very happy with how we're going, mate. Very happy.
I mean, this is a great comment here. Manny, I'll come to you. Mars Gunner, thanks for watching again, man. Regular listener. I'm so embarrassed by the club having to give players away for nothing and struggling to do that too. High fees and wages for players no one else wants. Absolute dross. Great clear out. Spot on, Manny?
Spot on. I mean, I can't disagree with that comment. Absolutely not. We were the only ones who were willing to put these players on that kind of money. We were the only ones that were willing to get bent over and made to look a fool by these players and their agents. We got conned in terms of the wages we pay for them. Absolutely conned, right? You can't sit there and say that we have had value for money for these people. Kolasinac was a free. He cost us a whole lot more than £0. Mustafi, 35 million quid. Look at the crap that he has put us through. The mistakes, right? And the arrogant attitude of the man. You know what I mean? The only one that I don't really have issues with is Socrates, because he didn't bother me as much. You didn't really hear from Socrates.
Same.
He just wasn't good enough. He just wasn't good enough. But the rest of them, we put them on higher wages, and what value did we get off them on the pitch?
Yeah.
Good riddance to them.
100% good riddance, and it's great business for me to get some of these deadwood players out the club. Trev, let's come to you on this next point in terms of outgoings. Reece Nelson, Joe Willock, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles are all linked with loan moves away from the club. Now, I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with Maitland-Niles going out. And the reason I say that is this. I believe we've got a player here that will play in a number of positions and give 110%. What is it that Arteta is not seeing with Maitland-Niles? And do you think that loan moves for Willock and Nelson would be good for them and for the club?
Well, it's really interesting you say that, Dan, because before we came on air, I was writing down the players that we could choose tomorrow and the positions that they might play in, and I didn't write down Willock, Nelson, or Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I didn't write them down, and so it doesn't look like they're going to get much game time. So Nelson and Willock, do we loan them out or do we cash in and get a bit of money for them? Because we've got plenty of cover other than those two in the other positions. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I've always rated Maitland-Niles, Dan, and I don't know what Arteta doesn't see in him, because firstly, he wasn't choosing him, then he gave him a run. But when I saw the other night that Cedric was playing left back out of position in front of Niles coming in at left back, then it starts your mind wandering, doesn't it, mate? And if there's something seriously up here with the relationship. And having said that, Cedric was very good in that position. So who knows, mate? Who knows what Arteta doesn't see in Maitland-Niles? But you're right. If I had to keep any of them, I'd keep Maitland-Niles in the club because he's very versatile. And when he gets a bit between his teeth, he's a really decent player, is Maitland-Niles. So I'd like to see him stay. The other two, good young lads, but I'm not too worried if they do go out, mate. I'm not too worried if they do go out.
I think, listen, Maitland-Niles is being linked with Wolves. He's being linked with West Brom, Southampton, a few places in the Premier League on loan. And I wonder what that is about, because I believe it's a player that can give us some strength in depth, which is something I don't think we have. With Reece Nelson and Joe Willock, I don't think either of them are actually going to make it in Arsenal shirts. I really don't. And I've said that quite clear throughout. I've never slated them or slagged them off or thought they were, garbage. But what I will say is this. I believe that loan moves could blossom them into something that Smith Rowe has clearly benefited from with his loan moves to Leipzig and Huddersfield. So I'm not ready to give up on them both yet if they were to be given loan moves. Now, I don't think we can afford to send all three of them out on loan because they're free subs that we regularly have on the bench. I don't think Nelson's made the bench the last few games, so I imagine he's the one that will probably definitely go. But Willock and Maitland-Niles are normally on the bench. So if they go, who's going to take their place? Manny, what's your say on this, man, in terms of some of these three youngsters that might be going out? And also, there's a comment here saying that we are over the top from Martin. He's saying we're over the top because we're calling people garbage. What's he put? Oh, yeah. He's put, what right have you got to call anyone that has put the Arsenal shirt garbage? That terminology is way over the top. I think we can have a right to have an opinion. If it's offended you, then we apologise. But that's the way that I see it personally. Manny, over to you.
So what was the first question, Potts? What's
about
the one
three
you wanted me
youngsters
to answer first?
Reece Nelson, Joe Willock, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
For me, Maitland-Niles going on loan just shows to me that Arteta doesn't rate him. I mean, he's put in, really good and solid performances when Arteta has asked him, to step forward. But it must be an attitude issue. There's something that he is not seeing. And he's been here, Arteta, over a year now. And he hasn't started Maitland-Niles consistently in the first team for quite some time since he's been here. So it must be an attitude issue. I would be gutted to see him go because of his versatility and because of the performances that he can put in. But if Arteta doesn't want to see him here and he sees him, as a commodity that can, that he can use his talents elsewhere, maybe come back and maybe be beneficial next season, so be it. But I'll be gutted to see him go. Now, in terms of Joe Willock and Reece Nelson, those guys need minutes. They need minutes. Now, what was the comment you wanted me to answer, Potts?
Someone, I can't even find it now. Somebody has said that we are calling players garbage, and that's not right to call players garbage. Listen, some people get like that. They think that everybody's a legend that wears the Arsenal shirt and that we should always respect them. What's your comment to that, mate?
Here's how I see it, Brian. One of the issues that I have with the Arsenal fan base is that we cannot respect other people's opinions. This is my opinion about the players that we've spoken about. I call them as I see them. If I call them garbage, that's my opinion. And just because you're putting a comment on the YouTube channel and in the little YouTube comment, it's not going to change my opinion on these players. I am still going to call them garbage. I am still going to call them crap. Whether they put on the Arsenal shirt or not, it doesn't matter to me because their performances haven't been at the level that I expect from Arsenal players. So I call them garbage because that's how I see them. Now, if it's offended you, if you don't like how I've spoken, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to change that. I call them how I see them. That's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, that's just too bad because there's nothing you can do to change it. You're just going to keep writing your comment and it will have no effect on me at all. I call them as I see them. If you don't like my language, take it up to somebody who gives a damn. And on that note, Potts, because I got to go, I got, things to do. I'm wishing the United fans who are going to be in the comments, happy, a happy trolling. I hope you guys actually turn up this time because you had a lot of energy when we were at Old Trafford. They were everywhere. They were everywhere. They had a lot of energy. I hope you guys come in the comments and have the same energy in terms of my prediction for the game, Potts. 2-1. I think it will be a lot harder than people think just because they lost to Sheffield United. They are going to be up for it because it is Arsenal and it is a big game. So don't take them lightly. And to those who are offended by other people's opinions, leave it alone. You're not going to change it. Just accept their opinions and move on. Trev,
Manny,
as always, big love, sir. Right, you keep yourself healthy. Potts, I'll catch you next week because I'll be back full time next week. And to the guys in the comments, Arsenal fans, up the Arsenal, and hopefully we stuff United tomorrow. You guys have a good evening, man.
Manny, absolute pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. We will see you
Top man,
next
Manny.
Friday.
I'll see you next
See you
week.
soon.
Man. You guys have a good one.
Take it
See you
easy,
soon,
bro.
mate. Love you. Take care. Bye, brother. Bye.
Trev, that leaves 2. Then there were 2. Manny, love his positivity. I do love his positivity. He is brutal, he's honest, and we love him for it, and he's passionate.
Mate, he says what he thinks, and that's what we're here. We've all got different opinions. I don't agree with Manny all the time. Far from it, actually. But Manny's my friend, and he's entitled to say what he thinks as much as you and me are, mate. So, good luck to the man. If he didn't say what he thought, he wouldn't be worth coming on the podcast because he'd be
Exactly
a fraud,
that.
and we don't have frauds on here. Yeah?
Exactly that, man. Manny's always the same. Over 100 of you watching, please hit the like button if you can, as Mr. Mike Feinberg, from the Gooners podcast has said. 102 watching, only 17 likes. That's garbage. I totally agree. Guys, please hit the like button. It would mean a lot to myself and Trev. Trev, let's come to you. Let's talk a bit about Arsenal over the last few weeks because form has picked up, results have picked up, and I am still not 100% convinced, Trev, with what I'm seeing on the pitch because I don't see a style of play. However, I can't argue with the results, mate, and it is a results business, which is why Arteta was under pressure in the first place. So when he does get the results right, we obviously have to give the guys some credit because Arsenal are winning football games again. Now, it was a great victory against Southampton, but what pleased me the most is it was one of the most enjoyable games to watch this season. I was really impressed with the youngsters, really impressed with the attacking play, and it looked like we really wanted to give them a go and take them 3 points. So what did you make of the game, Trev?
Started off thinking, here we go again, didn't we, Dan? When Lacazette missed that early chance. If I'm honest, I thought Lacazette could have done better with that. I thought the goalkeeper was down and he should have put it over him. And then Southampton scored and we're thinking, here we go, But from the moment Southampton scored, we didn't look back really, did we? From 1 to 11, we played really well and the youngsters excited me. Lacazette, I think, is working so hard up top, not carrying the youngsters, but leading the youngsters, maybe. I love the way that's going. I think that Holding looks better every game. He had a bit of a shoddy one in the cup, didn't he? But I'm going to forgive him that one. I thought he played really well again in the league game. I'm just over the moon, and we're smiling, Dan. Us Arsenal fans are smiling after we had a bad run, didn't we? The last few weeks, we're smiling again. Arteta brought the youngsters in. We've all got our opinions on why he had to bring the youngsters in a few weeks ago and how it happened. But to me, that doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter how it happened. They're in. They're playing well. And the one big positive is the likes of Saka and Smith-Rowe and Martinelli are lifting the rest of the side, Dan. They're lifting the rest of the players around them, and we're playing better as a team. And to top the icing on the cake is Partey, if he stays fit. What a class it is, mate. So all happy, all smiles. Actually looking forward to the game tomorrow. It's the biggest game of the season for me, Man United, mate. Biggest game of the season.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think tomorrow is huge, and I think the results have gone our way if you want to get excited about the table. I'm not getting overexcited yet, personally, just for the pure fact that I don't believe we're close enough to look at top four. However, everyone tells me I'm wrong, and that's fine. That's their opinion. If they believe we've got enough in this squad to get us to top four, then I love your optimism. My opinion is that there's only 7 or 8 players within this 25 that are good enough, and that to me isn't enough for top four. But of course, I hope I'm completely wrong and that we're laughing at the end of the
Me
season.
too.
Trev, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of players before we go into this weekend's game. You mentioned Thomas Partey. I think he's been a revelation since he's come, and every time that he plays, our midfielders just look so much more balanced. It really has, from the Granit Xhakas and Ceballos and the El Nenis of this world. However, the 2 players I want to mention, you mentioned Lacazette, and I think the reason he's firing is because of these 2 young lads. I think Smith Rowe and Saka, we have got 2 assets there who are potentially worth a lot of money. And I think that because not just they're English, but they're showing a lot of consistency with their performances. I love a pair of them. I can't tell you how much I've been impressed with Bukayo Saka this season. I think last season he started to show some glimpses of what potential he had, and he's continued it throughout this season to be probably our most consistent and best player. And Smith Rowe, the last 6 games, I think he's already beaten Mesut Ozil's assist record of the last 2 seasons combined. So I'm a huge fan of both of them. Trev, what do you make of them?
Oh, they make this old fella smile, mate. They make this old fella smile broadly. You got to remember that Saka's a season ahead of Emil Smith Rowe, and he broke through into the first team a season ahead of Smith Rowe. So if we see the improvements in Smith Rowe that we've seen in Saka this year, Smith Rowe next year is going to be tearing people apart. He's only played 6 first team games. He's still learning, but what a way to learn. What is so exciting, the way they play together, Dan, the way they play together. When I talked about it on Guns and Yellow Ribbons the other night, the goal where Emil Smith Rowe, can't remember, it was against now, last week or the week before, Emil Smith Rowe runs with the ball at his feet, and he keeps the ball very close to his feet when he runs it. So he's not giving players a chance to get in front of him and tackle him. They're going to take him out if they tackle him, you know. And then he cut the ball back, and he showed such maturity. He's running full speed. Not only did he cut the ball back, but he looks first. He didn't put it into the space. He put it to Saka, who knew exactly where he needed to be. And what a finish Saka made to score that goal. So that we've got 2 great players, but the big game, Dan, is they play together really well. They're forming a partnership. They're forming an understanding. And that's so important, I think, mate.
I couldn't agree more. And what I love about Saka is his goal contributions. His assist and goal ratio is fantastic. I think he got 11 or 12 last season, and he's already well into those sort of figures in combines already. So by the end of the season, I expect to see something similar. But I've got a question for you here, Trevor, and it's a little bit off topic of Arsenal, but it involves Bukayo Saka. If I said to you now, you could have one player to pick or to choose, who would you pick out of Saka, Phil Foden, or Mason Greenwood? Out of those 3 English youngsters, which one do you think incites you the most? And don't be biased from an Arsenal point of view. Who would you go for?
Mate, I don't have to be biased. I'm on record. I'm on record of saying it on more than one occasion. And I say it again, with no bias. I wouldn't swap Bukayo Saka for any player in the English league. I wouldn't swap Bukayo Saka for Kevin De Bruyne. I know people are going to laugh at me for that, but if you consider the age and the development and where they are in their career, I wouldn't swap Saka for anyone, mate. Wouldn't do it. Not a chance. Saka for me all day.
See, I have to agree. And the reason I say don't be biased is because both of us, I knew, were going to say Saka. And of course, everyone's going to go, oh, Saka, are you saying that because you're Gooners? I personally feel that Bukayo Saka has proven himself as a right midfielder, a left midfielder, a number 10, a left centre midfielder, and a left back, and a left wing back. I don't think Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood could do that. I know they play in a couple of positions, whether it be centrally or wide, but I don't personally see the potential in those 2 like I see in Saka. I think with Saka, what you've got is somebody who is showing senior players up, and I'm not so sure that Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood could be seen as that. And I know they're playing with better players and people around them, but I honestly believe that if Bukayo Saka was in that Man City side, he'd be showing up some of their seniors as well. That's how highly I rate this kid. I think he's going to be top draw. So that's the way that I would see it as well, Trev, 100%. Let's move into this game at the weekend, because it's, I think, a fairly good time to play Manchester United, Trev. because they lost to Sheffield United. They don't look like they're going to be defending as well personally of late. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the reason that he's up there is because they have match winners. They have big game players. They have Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba on his day, Mason Greenwood we've just spoken about, Marcus Rashford proves he can score goals, Anthony Martial, Cavani, proven goal scorer. They've got some great players, Trev. So what do you make of Man United as an outfit coming into this game, bro?
Well, I'm an outfit in shock. I'm in shock about them losing to Sheffield United. I didn't see that coming. I thought that Man United were picking up their season nicely, Dan, to be honest. But they showed their weaknesses against Sheffield United, you know, and I'm really positive about playing them tomorrow. I think that, bearing in mind, our defence is now the third best defence in the Premier League now. We're not leaking goals at all. And if Man United are firing on the same cylinders as they were the other night against Sheffield United, I think they'll struggle to score more than one against us. And I think if you put our youngsters up against Man United's defence, Maguire's a big lump and he can't move around very quickly. The lads on the wing backs, I don't think are the best. And I think if our youngsters play to their best against them, we'll score goals. And I can see us scoring more than one, if I'm honest. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not worried about Man United at all. Losing to Sheffield United the other night, we all know it can go one of two ways, Dan. They can come back really positive or they could go on a downer. But I'm not worried about playing them, mate. Not at all.
I have to agree, man. And I personally feel like it is a good time to play them. Sometimes you would say that it's bad coming off of a loss because people see it as they have to, the pressure's on Ollie, he has to turn it around. And I think he'll be gutted about that result, if I'm honest, because he was kind of touching distance with Man City and a lot of people were putting him in the title race, which of course they still are, looking at the table. I just don't look at this Manchester United side and see why they're up there. And that's the only kind of thing I can think of as to why they're up there is because of the players that they have that can win games. And that does scare me because they have players that all over the pitch that can score goals. But of late, so have we, Trev. We've got the Sakas, we've got the Lacazettes, we've got the Smith-Rowes. I think Martinelli will probably feature. And we've got Partey back fit. So as far as I'm concerned, Trev, maybe we shouldn't be fearing this Man United side. But my question to you is this. Over the last 15 to 20 years, this has been my favourite fixture. My favourite fixture to attend, of course, is the North London derby. But my favourite game to watch has always been Manchester United versus Arsenal. And that's because I was spoilt growing up with the Roy Keanes and Patrick Vieiras of this world, with the Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger's. And I just feel over the last maybe 10 years, Trev, we've seen that drop off a little bit. The minute that Vieira and Keane left and Fergie left, I've not really got up for this game as much. It's still a huge fixture and still is my favourite, but it's not quite the same. And winning against them at Old Trafford earlier on in the season, I was hugely excited and was celebrating like crazy because it was the game that we'd won since 2006, believe it or not, at Old Trafford. But is there something about this fixture now that isn't quite the same, or can you still get as excited for it, Trev?
Oh, Danny, I said earlier, it's the most exciting fixture of the season for me, Man United. But you're exactly right, mate. You're exactly right. It's exciting for me because of the history. And, of course, over the last few years, it has dropped off a bit because it's not the two best teams in the country playing. You know, when we were playing them in the early 2000s and late 90s, it was the best two teams in the country going at it. And we had hard players who wanted to win games, and there was punch-ups and there was Pizzagate and there was Kieran jumping all over people. There was Keane getting wound up for Vieira. You knew with a game against Man United coming up, there was going to be something happening. Something was going to happen to make you excited, you know. And it's not been like that over the last few years. But for me, it's still the biggest game, the game I want to win, Dan, you know. Two of the greatest games of football I've ever seen. They were both FA Cup games, actually, but two that I remember are the 79 final when we beat them 3-2. Alan Sunderland popped up and scored the winner. And, of course, the best 0-0 draw I ever saw was in the cup final. When was it? 2005. And it was Patrick Vieira's last ever kick for Arsenal when it went in the final. So there's loads of history between our clubs, and obviously the Wenger Ferguson thing used to make it even more exciting, didn't it? You know, because those two were going to be up to no good. But yeah, it has lost its attraction a little bit, Dan, for a lot of people, but only because it's not the best two sides in the country going at it anymore. That's the only reason, mate.
I have to say that I agree with you, Trevor, 100%. It's still a huge fixture and it's one that I always look forward to, but I do miss the Keenan Vieira days. I do miss the fights in the tunnel. I do miss Fergie and Wenger going at it. We're going to take a very short ad break and then we're going to come back and I'm going to introduce you to our Man United fan.
West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
Welcome back, and please welcome, as always, an opposition fan preview for today. It's Dan, Man United fan. Dan, how you doing, my friend?
How are you, Dan? Mate, honestly, this is hilarious. I've been on a podcast with Albert, and I've seen there's a couple of people in the chat below, and I was wearing a different United shirt for his. I think I thought I'd make the effort so I didn't look samey, and I've seen some people, I'm like, oh, they're going to think I'm a right mug.
Well, do you know what, man? That just proves that you're a proper fan because you have one more than one on Man United shirt. So well played, man. Listen, I must say, it's a pleasure to have you on, mate. We met on a podcast a few months ago now, to be honest with you. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. We've been talking about this fixture for the last half hour and leading up to it. We've done a little bit about Arsenal. We're going to come on to a little bit about Man United and your thoughts of how your season's been. And I don't know how much you've heard in the chat backstage, but I've been saying the reason I believe you're up there at the moment is because you have match winners. You have big game players that can just win a match. And we've seen the Pogba's when they want to turn up, Bruno Fernandes, Martial's, Rashford's, Greenwood's, the list goes on. You have some players that can win you a football match, and that does scare me. But the last game I saw you play, the defending is clearly questionable. The second goal that Sheffield United scored to make it 2-1, he's been left in the box on his own twice. Yeah. So what have you made of the season? Is it a myth that you're up there, don't really deserve to be up there? I mean, I know the table doesn't lie, but what has it been like being a Man United fan? Surely a bit strange, is it not?
It has, and look, I'm glad you asked, actually, because I work with a lot of Liverpool fans, and they're all saying, "Oh, you know, it's ridiculous. You're only there because of Van Dijk going." I mean, Christ, honestly, one player doesn't make a team, man. But look, we can only play who's in front of us. I'm not going to feel bad for beating the teams and going on the run that we have, but like I'm quite vocal about, when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and runs, they're awful. They're awful, and we were absolutely atrocious against Sheffield United. Forced it too much, and it bit us in the backside. And I think I think we're going to struggle on Saturday. I can't see us getting a result there, because when the wheels come off with Ole, they come off horrifically. So I'd love us. Do you know what? I'd be happy getting a point there just to get that consistency back, keeping that away run going. But I'm not too hopeful at the moment.
Dan, I've got to ask you this because we've got Arteta, you've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Chelsea had Frank Lampard, and we see Lampard go already. Now, this to me is seen as a good thing to some fans, but also a bad thing for others, because there's that sentimental factor of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is a clear legend at Manchester United, Arteta, who everybody liked and respected as a player at Arsenal, and the legend that was Frank Lampard. So where do you sit with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because sometimes I look at you and I think, he doesn't have a clue how to defend against set pieces. Other times I sit there and think he's got himself out of jail again. But when I speak to the majority of Man United fans, they love the guy, but they would rather you have a Simeone or Allegri. And that is my big thing about the Arteta situation. People say to me, are you Arteta out? I say, I'm only Arteta out if I'm going to be given an experienced coach who knows what he's doing. Where do you sit with the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation, mate?
It's head and heart, Dan. It's head and heart. You know, your heart says, I want him to win the Premier League for Man United. I absolutely want it. I'd love nothing more. But my head says that he'll take us to – look, one thing I'll say about him, he has got rid of a lot of deadwood at Manchester United. There have been some players earning a living there, stealing a living for a very long time, and he's done very well to get them out of there, as is, I think, Arteta doing at the moment. Do I think he'll win us anything major? I can't see it. But look, the run that we've just been on, we went top of the league in January for the first time in 7 years, well, 8 years. I've been enjoying the ride, mate. I think United fans, expectation-wise, we know we're not going to win the league. Of course we don't, but you're telling me that to get top of the league and then for a couple of weeks being able to go into work and look at the Scousers and say, top of the league, lads, it's been fantastic. It's been brilliant. It's been the best present this year ever.
Listen, I can't deny that I'd be doing exactly the same if we were top to the Spurs fans. So I totally understand that. Trev, I'm going to come to you on Man United because I look at this Manchester United side and they are top. They are ahead of us, in the league. And I personally don't look at their squad and think, wow, I fear them. So why do you think that is, Trev? Is it that they are not as good as perhaps the table's saying, or does the table not lie? What do you make of Manchester United going into this game, Trev?
Well, firstly, hello, Dan. All right, mate. How are you doing? Nice to meet you. Got to say that I agree with your point you made about. Got to say I agree with your point about you saying that you don't think you can win this tomorrow, because I don't think you can win either. But apart from that, the thing with this Man United squad, Dan, is that they haven't got the standout stars that they've had before, have they? They haven't got the standout stars at Man United, much as I suppose we haven't really. We're both developing clubs, both developing teams. Man United are probably a year or two ahead of us. But you're right, there is no one I fear there. And the one I fear the least, and I hope he plays tomorrow, is De Gea. I think De Gea's got some mistakes in him, and I don't think he encourages confidence in front of him, De Gea. I don't see why they're not playing the other lad in goal, to be honest. But no, the reason we don't fear them, mate, is because they've not got the superstars that they used to have, and they're not as dominant as they were. That's why.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, and Dan, I'll bring you in on that because I don't think that. Listen, it's no secret that both teams have been in transition for a few years now, and I think that we have been getting to the stage where perhaps we have lost the Thierry Henrys and the Ruud van Nistelrooys and the Rooneys and Keanes and players like that over the kind of last few years. But surely you go into this game with some confidence for how we have been playing this season, not the last few games, because we've got mistakes in us as well. So what's your making going into this game, Dan? Why are you not confident about getting the 3 points?
2 words: Lindelof, Maguire. It doesn't make me feel confident at all. Look, at the end of the day, Arsenal United is, and I was listening in before, and I completely agree with what Chad was saying there. The games back then, it was, and I said this before, it was war, wasn't it? It was just all out war. It's not that anymore. And I look at United, and you make the point about not having the superstars there. I mean, we've got Pogba, who should be a superstar. Christ, the talent that lad has when he wants to play, he is a superstar, but he doesn't do it consistently. I just don't see us being strong enough for you. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I said before, and I'll say it so many times, Jesus Christ, when we do crash after these insane runs we go on, we do crash. And another thing that Trev said, and I completely agree, is De Gea. The goal against Sheffield United, I get it. Billy Sharp gives him a little shove, but I want a goalkeeper that when that corner comes out, he demands the ball. He comes out and attacks that ball. And if he when do you ever see a penalty given against a goalkeeper for trying to claim a ball? You never see it. I want to see my goalkeeper come out and command it, and he doesn't do it. The second goal, when I don't know what he's doing when he's trying to pass that ball out, you just hit it into the stands. I don't care if you're a Premier League footballer. It's basic level.
I was a huge fan of David De Gea a couple of years ago, and I put him as the best goalkeeper in the world, along with Manuel Neuer. I don't know what's happened to his confidence over the last two, but it just doesn't seem the right person there mentally, in my opinion. And I've always worried about him coming for crosses because he's always had that kind of weakness and feeble look about him. But his shot stopping could not be denied, and his reflex saves were outstanding for the last few seasons. So I agree with the point there, Dan.
Do you know what though, Dan? Another thing, and I always bring this up. Everyone says he was our player of the season for 5-6 years. fantastic. But look how many shots he was facing every season. We've been in such a lull for so long. I always look at the stats. You know, whenever a goalkeeper's in a relegation team and they say, "Oh, he's keeping him in there. He's doing fantastic." You know, his shots to goal ratio is fantastic. Well, it's because your defence is letting you down. You're seeing more of the ball, and I don't rate him anymore as the world-class bracket. He's not a world-class elite goalkeeper to me. I honestly, this season, I think you've got to get it done and give Henderson a go. He's young. I love the arrogance he's got about him. He's loud. I mean, when he plays, you can hear him scream. And I don't know about you, I watched the games without the commentary, without the fake noise. I hate it. He is so loud, and you want that from your goalkeeper, and I don't see it from De Gea. I see sometimes a scared little boy sometimes. I really do.
Yeah, and I think you make good points there because, listen, you don't turn into a rubbish goalkeeper overnight, but there's certainly something that's happened to him mentally. I'm a huge fan of Dean Henderson. I think he's going to be your number one without a doubt, and I actually think it'd be between him and Pope who fight that jersey off of Pickford because he's definitely the third best out of them three, in my opinion. A kind donation, Daniel the Blind Gooner. Thank you so much, Daniel, and thanks for coming on Wednesday. Hey, Dan, great show. Keep up the good work. Please make sure you go and follow the Blind Gooner and get his subs up on YouTube. Absolute legend and a huge Arsenal fan. I'm going to bring some team news up, boys, because I've guessed I was going to speak to you, Dan, actually before, but and ask you what you think the team news will be. But we'll share it now and we'll talk through it. I've gone for what I think it will be. For both sides, and I think that there's a couple of injury problems on our side, but I wasn't so sure about your side of things. This is what I think, or how I think we will line up. Personally, I'll start with Arsenal. I believe we're going to be going with Bernd Leno in goal. I think Bellerin will be right back, and I think at left back it will be Kieran Tierney. For me, the two centre halves I think will be Rob Holding and Gabriel. I don't think David Luiz had a great game against Southampton, and I expect Gabriel to come back in after looking pretty shaky against Southampton and shaking off some COVID from what people believe. I think what will happen in the centre of midfield is we'll see Granit Xhaka continue on that left-hand side and Thomas Partey in the middle next to him, who we are all so pleased that we have back. In front, I expect Smith Rowe to be fit. I don't think Ødegaard will start this game. I think he will start on the bench. Lacazette, I think, will be the centre forward. Martinelli, I expect to come in on the left because Aubameyang is not fit. And I think Saka will play on the right. Now, a lot of people are saying that Pepe could continue to play on that left-hand side. But I just feel like Martinelli deserves a chance now. And if Pepe can come on from the bench, then so be it. It will probably be Pepe left and Martinelli off from the bench, but that's what I think I would probably go with in terms of Martinelli. Let's stop there and come to Trev. What do you make of that Arsenal side? Do you agree with that, or would you put Pepe in ahead of Martinelli, Trev?
No, I wouldn't put Pepe in front of Martinelli. Dan, I think you've got it about right there. I think it's a toss-up between Bellerin and Cedric. I think we've got great cover there now. The most important part of that for me is playing Saka on the right. I think Saka on the right opens the field up for us, and he's made Bellerin a much more confident fullback with Saka in front of him, and it gives us a definite threat down both wings with Tierney and Martinelli, or Tierney and Pepe going down the other wing. So whereas we were looking very, very left-sided last season and early this season, we now threaten down both sides of the field, which can only be good. The only other thing, and I don't know if he's fit or not, I'm still not sure about Gabriel and Mari. I don't think Mari's done anything wrong, Dan, and I wouldn't be upset if I saw Mari in the side in front of Gabriel, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Pablo Mari, we're not too sure about his injury at the moment. I think he's got a couple of weeks where he's had a tight thigh, but there is obviously that rumour that Lee Judges has said to me, trying to convince me that the extra $1 million that we owe is basically if he plays one more game. So we shall see what's happening there, because if that is for off-the-field stuff and non-footballing reasons, that is just so typical Arsenal. I personally feel that's one of our strongest sides, if I'm honest with you. I'm a massive fan of Martinelli, and I think if he can get a run of games down that left-hand side, he's going to make it even stronger. Aubameyang's not fit, so I think that is probably the only question mark for me, is whether Pepe or Martinelli start. And if Smith Rowe isn't 100%, then he might look to play Odegaard if he believes that he's ready. Dan, before we come to the Man United side, what do you make of that Arsenal side? Does it fill you with fear, or are you thinking, yeah, okay, I'll take that?
I'm really impressed. I have been for the last couple of seasons with Martinelli. I think he's such a talent, he's going to be something special. I really like him. Lacazette, I always worry when we play Lacazette because you never know what Lacazette we're up against, but I just feel like he loves playing in that position, doesn't he? He loves that number 9 position. I think sometimes he gets shifted out, dropped back. And so I think on Saturday, he's the person I'm worried about the most. I think he's going to turn up and probably, I ain't saying it, get one against us, to be fair. Smith Rowe, as I've said, absolutely so impressed with that kid. I tell you what a season he's having. And I just love the maturity he shows on the ball for such a young age. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, right. Listen, we're obviously a huge fan, but one player that we have all loved this season has been Bukayo Saka. What do you make of this lad, Dan?
Something else. As I've said before, giving him the number 7 shirt, showing the faith that they have in him. And I tell you what, he's explosive, but he's so disciplined on the ball as well, isn't he? He's absolutely electric.
Yeah, we're obviously a huge fan. And I asked a question earlier about Phil Foden, Mason Greenwood and Saka. You could only pick one, and me and Trevor are obviously going to be a bit biased, but we actually do believe that Saka has probably got more to his game and can play in a lot more positions. What do you make of that comment before we go into the Man United team, mate?
I think, look, the issue is Phil Foden's going to struggle for a long time in the England side. I think there's too many players in that position that Southgate does tend to go with. Saka, I think wings with England, I think you definitely got more of a chance of getting in there. And I actually think for how versatile he can be, I think he's a definite plus. And I think going into the Euros, you've got to take him, haven't you?
I think so, 100%. Dan, let's come into the Manchester United side. I've gone with De Gea in goal. I think the back four will be Wan-Bissaka on the right, who I think's a great defender, by the way. I question him going forward sometimes, but I think one-on-one defending, absolutely superb. Luke Shaw has been really impressive the last few games, if I'm honest with you. Not somebody that I've rated, if I'm honest, in the last few seasons, and I thought was probably going to be seen as a quite bad signing for you. But I put him at left back because I think he's been great for you. Maguire and Lindelof, you've spoken about as a partnership that doesn't fill you with any faith, and I can understand why. And we've had a couple of left backs in the past few years, trust me, that have not done the same with that. I've gone for Pogba and McTominay and Fernandes as the three, and I'll let you come into what you think it might be in the middle. But I'm a massive fan of this McTominay lad. I think he's got something about him which just gives 110%. He's not great to play against. Pogba, as you say, switches it on whenever he wants, but tends to play well against Arsenal, albeit it wasn't so great a few months ago at Old Trafford. Fernandes, I just think, is superb. I think if you look at him and KDB in the Premier League, by far the two best in that position. Mason Greenwood and Rashford on the wings, I mean, absolutely superb for England. And that pass the other night against Liverpool from Rashford to Greenwood was just absolutely out of this world. And of course, Martial up front. I'm not so sure that it'll be Cavani. Will Fred come in? What do you make of this Man United side? Is that about right, or is there a couple of changes to it, mate?
My worry is, Dan, I'll be honest, my worry is, and I've said this a few times this week to a couple of my mates as well, I've got a funny feeling he's going to go with McFred in the midfield, so McTominay and Fred for the energy. Whenever Ollie needs to get a result, he seems to go with them two lads. Absolutely backs them. The point you make about McTominay, I absolutely agree. And he reminds me for United a lot like Darren Fletcher, a player who just gets it for United and knows what those big games are about.
Yes, I agree.
I've got a funny feeling he's going to shoehorn Pogba into the side just to keep him playing and probably put him out on the bloody wing like against Liverpool. Personally, I don't want to see Martial in a United shirt for a good couple of 3 or 4 games at least now. I think against Sheffield United, I was disgusted in his play, disgusted in his how lethargic he was on the field. I would definitely go with Cavani. I think Cavani will absolutely thrive in a game against Arsenal as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this question, but you got there before me about Martial, because there's two players that I always mention as being not overrated, but just have been overhyped, I would say, when they came to the league. And one of them is Gabriel Jesus, because I just don't get it. I just really don't get it at all. And the other one is Anthony Martial. And I think that although he has glimpses of a good game, I sometimes sit there and wonder what the hype was about. Because I just don't get it. What is it about this lad at the moment? Is it his attitude? Is it his kind of ability or lack of quality, or what is it?
I think he's had his nose put out of joint with Cavani, if I'm honest. That's one of the things. I think he was up top last season. He was our number 9. That was his role, his position. For me, Martial is like one of those heart monitors, you know, when it goes, that is his form. You know, he'll have a game and you'll watch him and you'll think, yeah, I can see why we spent the money. I can see why we back him. And then he'll have a performance. I don't know if you watched it, mate, against Sheffield United. It was embarrassing. Christ, I'm 21 stone, mate, and I could have run more than that. I was so angry at him, and I don't get angry. I back my players. You have to back your players; they're your team. But that was honestly on the midweek. I've had enough of him. I've absolutely had enough of him now. I've said players win your leagues, players win your titles. Martial won't win you a league. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I must admit. I'm going to ask Trev in a minute, but I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to ask Trev what Man United player he would like to have in the Arsenal side right now. But I'm going to come to you while he's thinking about that. Dan, what Arsenal player would you like to have right now? If you could pick anyone, what Arsenal player would you have walk into that Man United side?
Oh, it's a tough one, that is. I love Thomas Partey, mate. I absolutely love him. I was devastated we didn't go for him in the summer. I thought he was what we needed. I think look, don't judge everything on this season for you guys yet. I still think, as you've said, and a lot of people have said, there's a rebuild going on there with Arteta. But I tell you what, laying foundations down by bringing players like him in, he is going to be so good for Arsenal. So yeah, for me, I'd take Partey all day. Of course, look, Aubameyang, anyone would take Aubameyang, of course they would. But Partey, when I think about what United miss, definitely him.
Yeah, I think that's very, very kind of makes sense to me. And that's where I'm going to go with this one, because as much as I love Smith Rowe and I want to be seeing this Odegaard, if you said to me, pick a Man United player, it would be Bruno Fernandes, 100%. Because I look at what you were last season, and it was very similar to us. And you signed him in January, and you all of a sudden you were winning games. You come third in the league, and it's amazing that one player can do that to you. And I just think the guy is exceptional. I know he has dodgy moments and dodgy passes and dodgy games, but he can turn it on like he did the other night against Liverpool. He's so reliable. He scores assists and does everything that I would love to see in a footballer. I think that signing was absolutely epic.
What I say about Fernandes and what he's done to United, and I stand by this, is before he comes to United, the strikers are feeding off scraps from Pereira and Lingard, and it's those players aren't going to unlock defenses like this guy can. This guy can see a pass. Now, this guy might misplace 6, 7, 8 passes in a game, but he will unlock with that moment of brilliance, and that's what the difference is between being a winner and just a team player.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think he is absolute class. And if said earlier, if you were to pick like a kind of dream team, then KDB and Bruno would be two of the players I would definitely look at in that kind of number 10 or further forward player. Trev, let's come to you. What Man United player would you have in the Arsenal side currently, mate?
Well, I'm with you, Dan. I'm with you all the way, mate. In this Fernandes lad, I think he's brought Man United up a level single-handedly this year. He's a kind of player all us fans hate, isn't he? Unless you're a Man United fan, you hate him, but you hate him for a reason, because he's pretty good, you know. So yeah, I think he brings something to that side. He brings an energy and he lifts them and he reads the game well. So I hope he has a shocker tomorrow, but I'd have him any day of the week, mate. Although, where would he fit in our side at the moment? We'd have to kick one of the youngsters out. But, you know, I'd have him. Just while we're talking about Man United players, I'll tell you what, I don't like being soft about Man United, because all my in-laws are Man United and they tear me to pieces, you know. But I'm so pleased to see Luke Shaw having a good season this year, you know, because... Yeah. That bloke Marino absolutely wrecked him when he was there. Absolutely wrecked him, shot him down, and I'm so pleased to see that young lad's bounced back and he's playing decent football again. I hope he has a shocker tomorrow. I hope he falls over and lets us score 4 goals. But I'm so pleased to see him playing well again, Dan. But now, going back to the question, mate, I'd take Fernando any day.
Fair play, Trev. Fair play indeed. The transfer window is still open. We've talked enough about it. Before we go into predictions, Dan, is there any rumours that Manchester United are going to get any players? And my second question is, if you could have one player in either this window or the summer, who would you go for?
I don't see us doing any business, mate. I really don't. Even with the result against Sheffield United, I think bringing Diallo in, I know it was a summer signing, but he's coming in January. I feel like that's all we're going to look at now. A player to come in, I would absolutely love to get Upamecano at the back. I think we're missing someone like him at the back. The problem is I think sometimes you can look too far forward and try and fix the forward line. I think that's been United's biggest problem this season going forward. Definitely, tabletop in form going forward. At the back, you put us, I think amongst the worst. We're just too inconsistent. We're too leaky. Upamecano, I think a good solid centre back for me. I'd absolutely love that. Having said that, whether we will or not, mate, is another story, because I think he'll go to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, there is looking rumours that he is going to go over there, and it's a player that I love and we nearly got last summer, if the rumours are true. He's a fantastic centre-half and one that has got a release clause in the summer of £38 million, which is an absolute steal for a centre-half who could be as good as the likes of Van Dijk or whoever. Before we start getting into predictions, Dan, I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you think Manchester United will finish. I know there's a lot of football to play. I know it's early days, but what are you expecting as a league position, mate?
Look, I think Albert's there. Albert, if you can see, mate, I've changed my top. I think top 4. Even when we were top of the table and I was having banter at work with the lads, top 4's the ultimate goal for United this season. Simple as that. We were top for a couple of weeks. I absolutely loved it. It was great to do, but I think top 4 for me. Massively.
Brilliant. It's realistic, and I think that is very, very, very good of you to say. We get enough people come on here, trust me, and say, we'll win the league, we'll get Champions League, all that sort of stuff. So very realistic opinions from you. I'm not going to ask Trev where he thinks we'll finish. Trev, by the way, is on a huge delay, but he can hear us, but he's on a huge delay with his Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go straight into predictions. Trev, I'm going to start with you. What do you think the score will be tomorrow, Trev? I'm not so sure I can hear him. Are you on mute, Trevor?
I'm very sorry about the delay, everybody. I'm trying everything to get running a bit quicker, but it's not working. I honestly think, right, and we're going to have a laugh here. I'm not going for 4-0 down like I normally do, right? So, but I think that our defence has got stronger. And I don't think Man United have been firing up front on all cylinders. And I think that De Gea in goal and Maguire in particular. No, it's a delay. Can you?
We can hear you, mate. We can hear you. It's just a very big delay. I'll tell you what, Dan, I'll come to you and then hopefully Trev will come back. What do you think the score is going to be, Dan, before we wrap this up?
I've got to stick with what I said on Albert's show, and I hate saying it. Look, I love United, and people, please don't think I'm being a turncoat on my team, but I think it'll be 2-1 Arsenal. I just can't see us winning there at the moment. I think Arteta's getting the lads playing really, really good football at the moment. There's belief in that Arsenal team that wasn't there 6 weeks ago. It's not the best time to be playing you, I don't think. I think 2-1, sadly.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you, Dan. I fancy us to nick this game, and trust me, everybody that has seen my predictions of the last few weeks will be surprised with a 2-1 victory to Arsenal, because I'm still not convinced with Mikel Arteta and the way that we're playing in terms of a style. However, I do feel like we're going to win this game, and I think it's a good time to play her. And I think that it is going to be a really close game. I'm not going to go for a 4 or 5-0 spanking. Christ, we haven't done that for ages. Yeah. No, I'm not going to get carried away, but I do think that we can score a couple of goals against you. I think you're going to get one because it's very rare of late that we keep a clean sheet, although our defensive record is apparently the second best in the league. But I'm going to go for a 2-1. So we shall see what happens. Trev's got a huge delay, and he has put in the private chat that his delay is too long. However, he's gone for a 3-0 Arsenal win. Very optimistic. And I hope he's right, because I'd absolutely love that. But I do think we will get the 3 points. Dan, I have to thank you, mate, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you for half an hour and get to talk about stuff from a opposition fan point of view. How can people follow you on social media, mate?
Well, if we do get absolutely smashed 3-0 tomorrow, I'll be coming off. So, you can follow me on @footballwant. Guys, I'm doing a lot of things with ground hopping at the moment, non-league, giving non-league the voice it needs. But as I said before, massive fan of the show, Dan. The job you do is fantastic. It's been nice to come on, and I was listening to Trev before I come on, so it's nice to hear the thoughts that you guys have. The guys in the comments are fantastic. So thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Dan, you're always welcome, mate. And when we do get a reverse fixture, you are welcome on any time. You never know, we might get you again at some point in the Europa League. Let's see what happens. We will speak to you guys next time. Trev, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody in the chat. And until next time, we will see you later. Up the Arsenal.